Hello children and young people. Today I want to talk to you about how it is that you can turn the things that make you feel uncomfortable into things that are just natural, normal, everyday things. Now, sometimes I hear from young people who have difficulties in transitioning from the world where your parents take a great deal of responsibility for doing things for you to the place where you have to start doing more of that stuff for yourself. For example, once upon a time when you were little, if you went to a restaurant with your parents, then they would order your food for you. And now you're maybe reaching a point in life where you're expected to do that for yourself. In the same way that once upon a time you used to go to the shops, and if you wanted something, it would be your parents that paid for it. But now perhaps you're reaching that point where you're expected to go up to the counter, ask for stuff for yourself, figure out the money for yourself, and then make sure that you've got the right change afterwards. Now, those things, whilst they seem like natural, normal, everyday things that adults just crack on and do, actually transitioning into doing them can be a real challenge for some young people. And if that is you, then make sure that you keep on watching to find out all of the hints and tips that I have available for you today. But before I go any further, if you have not already subscribed to this channel, then make sure you go ahead and click that red subscribe button, click the notifications bell so that you get notified the next time I upload a video, and you may as well go ahead and like the video before I've even gotten into the juicy part. So let me tell you about the way it is that you are able to develop the confidence that you require and the self-esteem that you need to be able to do some of those more mature adult activities. First of all, let me just remind you that once upon a time, you quite possibly didn't much like the idea of brushing your teeth. Now, hopefully, this is something that you've got your head around now, and there isn't a parent having to do it for you. You just crack on and do it for yourself twice a day, remembering to get right to the back, and you do it without any real thought or concern. It's just something that's part of your routine. Now, in the beginning, it perhaps didn't quite work out that way. Lots of things that we learn to do come with some difficulty or at least some resistance in the very beginning. Even learning to walk wasn't something that was simple and straightforward. It took a lot of time and perseverance and effort on your part to get to where you are now. If you were one of those children who were really resistant to having your teeth brushed, it probably feels like a million miles away that there was a time when your parents were perhaps having to do it for you or help you with it or encourage you with it. But all of those things were part of your journey in learning. And the only difference between then and now is that now you're much more conscious of the things that you cannot do. So when we go through a process of learning something, there's actually only 4 stages to it, and I'm going to talk you through what those are today. So the first stage is that you have what's called unconscious incompetence. So the word unconscious simply means that you're not aware of it. You didn't even know it was a thing that you were supposed to be doing. And incompetence means that you can't do it. So take brushing your teeth, for example. Once upon a time, you didn't know that you had to do it, and you didn't care anyway. So that was unconscious incompetence. You didn't know and you didn't care. Then we move to the stage of conscious incompetence. That means that you know what you're supposed to be doing, but you have not yet got the skills to be able to do it. And that's quite possibly where you are with some other aspects of your life now. For example, being able to order your own food in a restaurant. You know that you should be doing it, but you don't feel like the skills are quite there. The next stage that we move to is conscious competence. That means you know what you're supposed to be doing, so you're conscious of it. And competence just means that you got the skills. So what we're saying is you're aware of what you need to do and you've got the skills to do it, but you have to think to make it happen. It's not just happening naturally and automatically for you yet. You've got to consciously think about it and put in the work to make it happen. And this is the next stage that you move to, where you are really starting to expand your skills and embed them so that they can become natural, easy, and automatic for you. Now, what I see happening sometimes is that people get stuck at the level of conscious competence. And the reason why they get stuck there is because they're just thinking about the thing far too much. If you think about something too much, it's like it becomes a point of focus, and then you can get a bit anxious about it. And that's where we can really start to feel uncomfortable about continuing to develop the skill. But the good news is, out of the 4 stages of learning, this is already stage 3. You're only one step away from being able to do this in a natural, normal, easygoing style. The final step, so when you've got to the stage where it's just something that you do without even having to think about it, is unconscious competence. So it's called unconscious, not because you're asleep or you're zonked out in some way. It just means that you're doing it without having to think about the effort that's required. When you go to sleep at night, you breathe unconsciously because you don't have to think about the breathing. You can do it whilst you're sleeping. It just happens. So unconscious competence means that you can do it without having to think about what it means or how you do it. Once you have got that ability to do it without thinking about it, that's when the anxiety around doing it begins to vanish. And the really good news is, to get from stage 3 to stage 4, there is just one thing that you have to do: practice. You have to keep putting yourself in those uncomfortable positions that you perhaps don't really want to be in, time and time again, so that they become more natural, more automatic, and more natural to you. What I see happening even into adulthood is that sometimes people get so hung up on that stage 3 where they're having to think about what they're doing and they don't really want to have to do it, and they wish someone else would swoop in and take away all the discomfort and do it for them. What I see happening there is that people really begin to hold themselves back, and rather than pushing through the discomfort and practicing, they instead avoid the situation completely. So rather than stretching their skills to be able to go and order something themselves in a shop or pay for it themselves, they just get their friend to do it, or get a parent to do it, or just don't even bother going to the shops altogether. They let the anxiety get the better of them, and they use it as a reason to avoid those situations. But because of that, it means you never develop the skill and you never put in the practice to get yourself to step 4, which is being able to do it without thinking anything about it, just doing it naturally and automatically. So here is my challenge for you for the next few weeks. If there is something that you know other people are able to do, adults are able to do, older young people are able to do, that they do it naturally, easily, and automatically, and you know that you're not quite there with it yet, then I want you to put yourself in the position where you keep practicing with it. You keep putting yourself in front of that scenario so that you can start to develop the muscles that you need in your brain to be able to do it with unconscious competence. So for now, thank you so much for watching and listening. I will see you next month. In the meantime, ring the bell, subscribe to the channel, and click the thumbs up button. Thanks for watching. Bye.